We've got news on the upcoming Switch 2, even more developer layoffs, and as usual, EA trying to make the gaming industry worse. All this and more on this week's episode of Weekend Repeat. In their May 7th earnings call, Electronic Arts announced that they were considering putting advertisements into their AAA video games. Not just their free-to-play titles, but their actual $70 products as well. During the Q&A section of their earnings call presentation, Eric Sheardon of Goldman Sachs asked EA CEO Andrew Wilson about the market opportunity for more dynamic ad insertion across more traditional AAA games across different formats. Wilson stated that EA had been looking into implementing ads into games, but things were still in a very early state. Though they had teams internally in the company right now looking at how do we do very thoughtful implementations. Wilson also stated that he felt advertisements in games like this had an opportunity to be a meaningful driver of growth for the company at large. Now, of course, this wouldn't be the first time we've seen advertisements in video games, and I mean, there are even some video games that are just straight up advertisements like Pepsi Man or that Colonel Sanders dating simulator, and really, this wouldn't even be the first time EA has put advertisements into their own games. Just a few years ago, EA came under fire for putting full-screen advertisements into the MMA fighting game UFC 4. But even earlier than that, EA had full billboard ads for Barack Obama's 2008 presidential campaign in the racing game Burnout Paradise. But just because they've done this in the past doesn't mean they should get away with this now. I guess having ads in free-to-play games is one thing, but having them in $70 fully priced games is completely inexcusable. So if this is making you want to boycott EA, which I can understand, don't worry about it, because usually EA's games are pretty mediocre, so you won't be missing out on much. On May 7th, Microsoft announced the closure of a number of different game studios. Arcane Austin, developers of Redfall and Prey, Tango Gameworks, developers of Hi-Fi Rush and the Evil Within series, and Alpha Dog Games, developers of the mobile game Mighty Doom, were all shuttered in this wave of cuts and layoffs. In addition, Roundhouse Studios, who also provided work on Redfall, will be absorbed into ZeniMax Online Studios to assist with the development of The Elder Scrolls Online. As a result of this, Redfall will no longer receive any of its promised updates, including any new character DLCs or an official offline mode. However, the game's servers will remain online, and those that purchased any unreleased DLC for the game will receive a make good credit, though details as to what this will be are unknown. Mighty Doom will also be sunset on August 7th, preventing players from making any new purchases in the game after that point. Though to myself and others, seeing the closure of Tango Gameworks was extremely disappointing. Personally, I've been a fan of Tango's games all the way back since The Evil Within in 2014. And while I've not played Hi-Fi Rush myself, it was wonderful to see such a surprise hit sweep the gaming market by storm. Microsoft stated that these cuts and closures were a reprioritization of titles and resources. In an email sent out by Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty, he stated that these changes are grounded in prioritizing high-impact titles and further investing in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games and beloved worlds which you have nurtured over many decades. With the blockbuster success of the Fallout TV show, it's no surprise Microsoft wants to heavily invest in Bethesda's major IPs. It's just very upsetting that so many talented developers had to lose their jobs for this to happen. In an extremely surprising announcement, Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa announced on Twitter that the successor to the Nintendo Switch will be announced within the fiscal year. Furukawa also stated that there will be a Nintendo Direct sometime in June of this year, focusing on games releasing in the latter half of 2024. But there would be no news at all about their upcoming console during this Direct. In Japan, the fiscal year runs from April 1st to March 31st, so it's quite possible we won't hear anything at all about the Switch 2 until March of next year. In a financial results Q&A on May 7th, Furukawa was asked if there was any special intention behind referring to their new console as the successor to the Nintendo Switch. Looking back at past hardware announcements, Wii U was described as a system to succeed Wii, and Nintendo Switch as a game platform with a brand new concept. This time it is described as a successor to Nintendo Switch. Is this an indication of your intent to continue with the gameplay and concept of Nintendo Switch? As a response, Furukawa didn't say much. At this stage, we cannot say anything more about the successor to Nintendo Switch. For today's announcement, we determined that the most appropriate expression to use was successor to Nintendo Switch. And lastly, coming out of the rumor mill this week, a classic game studio might be making a comeback. On May 1st, Twitter user @THPSX posted a trademark application for the name Neversoft, which was filed by Joel Jewett, president and co-founder of the original Neversoft studio, famous for developing the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series. Now, not to be the bearer of bad news, but it's entirely possible this was only done just to protect the Neversoft trademark. There has been no news about Neversoft coming back as a studio. But with this year being the 25th anniversary of the first Tony Hawk game, it's fun to imagine the studio coming back after all these years to revive the fan favorite series. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and let me know what you thought of the video down in the comments below. And be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss another video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.